Welcome. My name is Len Lane, and I am the founder and president of Brokers for Life, Inc., and we are Dominion Lending Centers in Western Canada. The topic of our podcast will be about what we consider to be real-life mortgage solutions.
Welcome back. Today, our guest is Wayne Kainu with a challenger bank called NEO. So we're going to talk a little bit about the different things that they've been doing and how they came to be. So first off, welcome. And Wayne, we'll start with a little bit of your background and how you got to Calgary. I thought that was an interesting story.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Len. I appreciate you having me on here. First of all, came to Calgary early 1990s. I was a speed skater. And so one of the things that Calgary has is the fastest ice still today, the fastest ice in the world. I was several years after the '88 Olympics, and so a lot of people from all over, a lot of kids at that point in time, moving from all over Canada to Calgary to train, and in hopes of making the Olympics, right? So that's what brought me to Calgary, and never went back. I came from Ontario, by the way. It was Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario.
Yeah, whereabouts in Ontario?
In Kitchener-Waterloo, KW.
That's how it happened for me. I've been here since I was 18. So hitchhiked across Canada and never really went back a couple times for short stints. But okay, so Neo Financial. Let's talk about that. Interesting start to it. What was the beginnings?
Yeah, so I'll start with our founders are the same founders who started Skip the Dishes. They sold Skip in 2018. And I always say, they could have lived this lavish lifestyle, these young folks, but instead they put their money into better banking for Canadians. And so they, obviously had a great track record. They were able to build some incredible technology. And so when they started NEO, it was about 5 years ago, they started NEO. And I was approached by them 3 years ago, almost exactly, and came on board 3 years ago. There, at that point, the core business was credit cards. They were just getting into bank accounts at that time, and they had signed a big partnership with HBC probably a year and a half before I came on board, and so things were going really well. When I came on board, there was but just over 100 employees, and today, 3 years later, we're sitting at over 800 employees. So we've grown quite rapidly, and again, the mission is really, once again, is to make banking better for Canadians and finding ways to put money in the pockets of Canadians and making things much more efficient for those who, through the app, our NEO app, and being able to do things a little bit quicker than you would see at the banks.
Well, and that's a good segue into that kind of technology that NEO has developed. That I'm told that applications are done rather quickly through your direct system.
Yeah. So, if you take a look at, a lot of the things that most of the technology that we have today at NEO has been built from scratch. And so if you look at our credit cards, bank accounts, et cetera, all of that is technology that was, again, created from scratch and proprietary, obviously. And so one of the things that they did when we first started is just evolving that credit card application to make it one of the fastest applications in the entire world. So I always say that if you look at the technology that they've built back in the Skip days, that technology, when they sold, that technology is used, for food delivery service all over the UK, all over Europe. And so what's under the hood is extremely important to our founders. And the technology that they build here, and the reason why we have so many employees, is the fact that, there's the computer engineers, the designers, the architects, and everything that goes in to build some incredible technology. And I remember, quickly, it was one of these when they had the world record for submission on their credit card, submission to approval was less than 12 seconds. And that was a lot of high fives in the office. And they're just, obviously very proud of the technology that they're building here.
Right. And that's including the credit check and everything, all in that process?
It did everything, all in, that quick analysis on a credit. Obviously, credit card being a lot easier to adjudicate as opposed to a mortgage, right? And as you know, and I think that was something that they could do pretty quick with the technology that they built. Now, On the mortgage side today, we do use third-party technology. So we haven't actually built too much tech on the mortgage side yet, right? And that's something that's coming in 2025. Once again, our founders, they don't really like building tech and just throwing it at anybody. They really want to build the best tech, and it's very expensive to build the technology when you have that many employees, of course. And so, if you're looking at millions of dollars every month on certain projects, we want to make sure that it's the best of the best. So they've scoped out, our teams have scoped out all the technology in the mortgage space, pretty much all over North America, and trying to see where we can actually improve. They do feel that the bar is relatively low overall, which, a lot of the technology, especially in Canada, hasn't been around that long, right? And so our hope is to start to build some tech and start displacing the third-party technology that we're using today.
And that's probably the biggest thing in the mortgage world. It's like we have a lot of stuff that's been here 25 years. It's hasn't changed much. I won't name any names. And on the other end of it, for us anyway, it's velocity, right? That has streamlined the process so much for us. It's unbelievable. There, in many years in the beginning, when I did 40 million by myself without an assistant, it was all paper driven. If I had had velocity, that 100 million mark wouldn't have been out.
Absolutely. You look at, even when I first came on, into the scene, it was about 15 years ago, it was all not paper based. Obviously, we were using most of the technology that, still brokers use today, but faxing lots of documents, it was faxing documents, faxing applications to, in some cases, to some of the lenders. It was just one of those things that things have evolved obviously quite a bit. And I think too, and this, and I know you've spoken about this in the past, is that, once COVID hit, then all of a sudden, we were using DocuSign, which was a huge jump into the 2000s, right? So in technology, it was one of those things that, and it made a big difference. We could be a lot more efficient by getting, documents signed that we wish we would have had sooner, obviously.
Yeah, I think the biggest change there came within the banks themselves because here in TD Scotia, not doesn't exist to them as far as they needed wet signatures on everything, and even though it's just needed it at the lawyers, but still only have one lender that actually asks for the DocuSign certificates to prove that signed, right? But still that's come a long way just in that short period of time. Yeah, COVID really would have pushed technology, I think, ahead that much quicker for us because collection of documents now for us is all virtual, right? Uploads into the storage as well as into where we send now for from Velocity directly to lenders. Speaking of that, do you think that is something that Neo is considering to have happen, or?
Absolutely. And I think that, first of all, Velocity, is state of the art for sure. There's you hear over and over again from brokers, and I used it briefly before I came over to Neo, and my old brokerage, obviously adopted that 100%. And I think that you look at those efficiencies, I think there's an incredible opportunity to integrate with Velocity. Obviously, we are integrated today, obviously, to receive applications from them, but to have further integrations and further efficiencies, this is something that we're looking at for sure. Because again, it's better technology than others in the market today.
Has become more and more important to us as brokers, I think, as well. But I'm a little hesitant to have to pull everything out of Velocity to upload it sometimes into some of the other. I can push it there directly from Velocity. That one more level of encryption as well as security for the client's documents, right? So at this point in time, you're kind of on the startup side of the mortgages. Even what is this? 2 years?
No, so we, as a company, we're 5 years old. As a lender, we're only a year old, right? So we've been in the broker channel for exactly a year. Going through that journey was a lot of fun. I'll be honest. Becoming a lender and trying to understand as a broker mindset why lenders do the things they do. So I did learn a lot, starting from the underwriting guidelines, getting our accreditation set up with Sage and Canada Guarantee, and started recently with CMHC. So these types of things, you certainly learn a lot because as a broker, you wonder why lenders do certain things, right? And so I think that was a bit of a incredible learning experience for me. And now, like I said, is once we become a lender, which we have for a year now, getting into the broker channel, which again is critical for us as a lender and for our future growth into the broker channel. We realized really quickly, at the beginning when I first came on board, that Canadians really want to talk to professionals. They want to talk to mortgage professionals. That this transaction, very emotional, stressful transaction, that even at the retail branch and the banks, they still don't get that level of support that they get from a professional mortgage broker who that's all they do all day long. So I think more and more, that the reason why I feel very strongly that the broker channel has been able to take more and more market share, and they will continue to do that as these rules aren't getting any easier for mortgages. If anything, they're just getting more difficult.
Yeah, and lots of new twists and turns coming in the next 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah. Nonstop.
That is one of the things I've always said about the industry. It's like I'm still here after 18 years because there's not a week goes by that we don't learn something new, or something new comes out and you have to be on top of that. So it's a constant learning curve for brokers that are engaged. Let's put it that way. So
yeah, and I think that was a learning curve. Knowing the mortgage business, myself, under our founders didn't, obviously, and I think that they knew the credit card space because they had some great experience with that. But Canadians to go online to do an application for a mortgage application, doing a credit card application all day long, right? It's whether they don't go through a lot of stress going through that application, whether they get approved or not, it's not a big deal. But when it comes to a mortgage, it's a huge deal. Again, the biggest transaction for a majority of Canadians. So that stress is there. There was an interesting stat I heard last year that over 50% of mortgage applications in the United States involved crying by the clients, maybe sometimes by the brokers. But it's coming. Like I said, I think Canadians still want to continue to have that professional advice, those options, and understand. Get this across the finish line, make me feel comfortable, and I'll use you.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure when the mortgages in the States for over 7%, there's a lot of crime.
Yeah, for sure.
So what does the ideal neo client look like? Who is it these days that are using your services, I guess?
Yeah, we love all clients. No, I think our sweet spot certainly is the insured insurable right now. We continue to have competitive rates and comp to the broker channel, and I think those are just two of the fundamentals. Obviously, service is critical, as providing continuous updates, knowing where your deal's at, having conversations, immediate conversations with the underwriter, and having access to underwriters. All that is extremely important, and I know that as we grow, obviously our team is growing quite rapidly as well. So as long as the initial fundamentals are going to be there, we're always going to have good rates, especially on the insured insurable, because it is the aggregator model that we have today. I think the biggest opportunity for us in the future is the uninsured. We do have deposits, so that's a space that we do have uninsured today. Maybe the rates may not be as competitive as the big five, or what you may have access to today. But I think that as we start to grow, have great with technology, create better efficiencies for brokers, path of least resistance, and then of course at some point, if we use our own deposits as we continue to grow, that's going to be a big game changer in the future.
Yeah, no question that we're seeing it right now as an advantage for the banks themselves and their credit unions, because now they're not as tied to the bond market as everybody else is, right? So
right,
very large,
absolutely,
very large lenders in our space that are having no choice but to move their rates because of the bond markets, right?
Yeah, and you've heard recently Stephen Smith talking about First National, for example, against the big banks, and that they just have so much power and reduce costs, and the capital that they have access to is very cheap, right? So they can provide these incredible rates on the uninsured space. But that's obviously been going on for a couple of years now.
Yeah, and that's something we kind of watch, because this time of year is also the different ends for the for the lenders, right? So the banks are end of October, they're into a new year, a little bit more aggressive. The MCAP group ends at the end of November, so they may be a little more aggressive after that in December. Of course, First National, I lumped them all into one, I guess. First National, Home Trust, and Equitable, which are all part of Mr. Smith's portfolio, personal portfolio, right? Deals at the end of December, looking at kind of gauging what they're going to do going into January. So, is there a niche product that you guys have had some great success with, or?
I think we don't really have anything niche-y quite yet. I'll be honest with you. I wish we did. I think right now, out of the gate, because it's been a year, we're pretty vanilla today. Although, I think that, like I said, as we start to build some incredible technology to create some efficiencies, there's also the ability to create technology for innovative product as well. And I think that's going to be, once again, something that's very exciting going into 2025. Recently, we launched a 6-month recently, right? And that was actually just last week. And we're seeing a lot of success from that product. There's only a few that have that product today. It's really about affordability, getting people that are kind of on that, the debt servicing piece. They just need to get under there. Obviously, using a 6-month with a lower rate will help that. We do have a trailer model that's going to be launched hopefully by the end of the year. And so I know the end of the year is coming up here pretty soon. But again, providing more options for those brokers that, been around for some time, that they want to build some value and equity in their book currently.
That's good to hear, because I had done a lot of that years ago with Merrick's when first championed, right? We're still receiving trailer fees from clients from some of them are on their third term with them. So
amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's viable. They make sure that they get a decent deal when they're resigned. So there are some things that have to happen with that to make it work. So, but yeah, excellent. Okay, so lots going on with Neo Financial. I know you're a busy gentleman, so I won't keep you longer today, but I thank you for taking the time to do this with us, and we will see you in January for a team meeting as well.
Great. Okay, Len, thanks a lot for having me.
Thanks for listening today. I hope you found the information that we provided to be useful in your mortgage journey. And remember, you can always find our associates at www.brokersforlife.ca/associates. Have a great day.